Well, welcome, Lanre, to the show. So excited to have you. You're a life and mindset coach. So, how about you spend a little time telling us about you?
Oh man, thank you for having me, Gal. So I am a life and mindset coach. I am born and raised in Houston, Texas. I've lived here all my life, and I kind of got on this journey whenever I kind of hit a certain point in my life where uh, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And once I started working with a life coach, I started getting into like a lot of personal growth podcasts, and I remember one podcast in particular where this woman was working her quote unquote dream job, and she felt a certain calling. Like she felt almost like something kept drawing her to being a motivational speaker slash life coach. And one thing that kind of resonated with me was that she said that your purpose will come whenever you're ready to receive it.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, wow. But at the time, I still was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And the idea of being a life coach had kept reemerging. It kept showing itself to me. And I was like, no. I mean, we all have probably experienced that kind of imposter syndrome. Like, oh, I can't do that. People are going to laugh at me. People are going to judge me. People are going to say negative things. And so I kind of dismissed it. And I'll never forget that I had a good friend of mine who's also a life coach. Him and I had coffee, and he asked me one day, he said, "Hey man, have you ever thought about being a life coach? I think you'd be really good." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I've thought about it, man, but no." He's like, "Why not?" I was like, and with him, I felt like I could open up. So I told him, I was like, "Man, to be honest with you, man, I'm scared." He was like, and the next thing that came out of his mouth floored me. He told me, he was like, "So you're telling me that there's someone out there who needs to hear your voice,
Mhm.
hear your story. And because you're scared, you're not going to help them." And
Mm.
literally, I was like, and it literally took my breath away. And I was like, I couldn't even talk. He was like, bro, like you have such an amazing story. You have such an amazing personality. There's so many people that need to hear your voice, and see your light. You can't let fear
Mhm.
rob those people or rob you from giving that to people. And I was like, you're right. He's like, I'm not right. You're right. And I was like, 100%. Yes. And from then on is when I decided to get on this journey of becoming a life coach.
Wow, I love that. Right? He just stopped you in your tracks. Like, whoa.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, like the fear had grown so much for me to where it was like this huge monster that I was just scared of. But when he said that, it literally just shined the light on that monster, and it shrunk him like that.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your journey. Once you had that light bulb click, how has that been, and or how is it going, and what would you want to share with people?
Man, so there's so much I would love to share with you guys. I guess on this journey, it hasn't been easy. I'll be honest with you. I'm constantly getting out of my comfort zone. I'm constantly being moved to get out of my comfort zone. I've been. I initially started working with a coach to basically help me become a better life coach.
Mhm.
And one thing I'll say is like, if you guys are thinking about working with a life coach for any purpose, I mean, any reason, or working with a coach for any reason, make sure that you find someone who is aligned with you.
Mm.
Don't work with someone just because they're popular or they have X amount of followers. Find someone who truly resonates with you and truly has your best interest at hand. They want to see you win.
Mhm.
Because I've worked with some people who, have all the followers, they have all the great content, but after we start working together, they're gone. I don't hear from them. I don't see them anymore. If I text them, I get nothing, and it's kind of unfortunate because as for me, like if you work with me, I want to see you win. You
Mhm.
know, I want like your wins are my wins. Like if you celebrate, I'm celebrating 10 times harder because I want to see your involvement. I want to see your victories. Um, yeah. And I've just seen one thing I'll say is that I just now know what I don't want to do when it comes to being a coach. Like
Mm.
that's one thing I can say. By working with some of these coaches who have the followers, have the great content, they are at a point where they have things that I know that I don't want to do.
Yeah, for sure. Right. So I love that you said, just, regardless of how many followers someone may have, because it's not about the amount of followers, right? It's really like, does the message resonate? Can they teach you something? Can they help you?
No,
You know?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Um, but telling you a little bit about a backstory about me. For me, it's like I was primarily in the hospitality industry. I was a bartender for several years. And before that, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and I kind of bounced around in college, never really having a direction I wanted to do. Fast forward to me get my first bartending gig. Initially, it was so much fun. Like I had so much fun. I met so many cool people, and it was like a party 24/7.
Mhm.
I go to work. I was the cool guy that everybody wanted to come meet. You know, I'm getting all the attention from the girls. You know, but then after a while, it starts kind of like that novelty and just that excitement started to kind of like to wear off a little bit. And it became a job where I would literally go in and it didn't feel good anymore. Like I would
Mm.
be up late, sleeping until 11, 12 o'clock at night, the next morning. Um, and this was like every day of the week. Even when I wasn't working, I'd be out partying
Mhm.
with those same people and I'd be getting drunk, doing drugs, and I'd be up till wee hours in the morning. And again, not waking up till 11, 12 o'clock, you know, and I was doing this over and over and over and over. And I want to say after probably 4 years of this, it became like, it became something to where I didn't feel good. Like I was like, man, I don't like the way my life is going, but I've been doing this for so long.
Mhm.
What else am I going to do?
Right.
And I remember I had a conversation with one of my friends who was the owner of the first bar that I worked at. And I was like, man, I don't like this feeling, man. Like I feel like I'm wasting my life. And
Mm.
he was like, well, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know what I want to do, but this isn't it. But this is all I know. And he's like, well, you got to figure that out, man. You got to figure that out. And then you got to make strides to that. I'm like, well, that doesn't help me. So I just kept doing it. And I was taking bartending job after bartending job after bartending job after bartending job after bartending job. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to get into management, then become an owner. And then from then I can kind of take a step back and really kind of just focus on my life and enjoying my life. Fast forward to uh, the last bar that I really worked at. I was the GM, and it was probably the hottest. I mean, it was a brand new bar restaurant. It was the hottest thing at the time, and I was there, and I remember that I despised being behind the bar because I just still carried all that trauma, those triggers from being behind the bar, and I didn't want to be behind the bar because I didn't want people to look at me as a bartender. Like I felt like, hey, I'm trying to shed that perception of Landry the bartender.
Mm.
I want to be Landry the owner or Landry the manager,
Yeah.
anything but Landry the bartender. And because I hated how people looked at me. It's almost like I felt less than. Like I felt like less than like all my friends, because all my friends that I was hanging out with, all those they were all accomplished, either with their own businesses or they had good jobs. And then there's me,
Mhm.
uh, the lowly bartender, and I was like, this is not something I want to do. And at this last bar, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be behind that bar. I don't want to bartend. And every now and then I would get behind the bar and I'd make like maybe 2, 3 drinks and then I'd hurry up and get out because I was like,
Mm.
I don't want people getting the wrong idea.
Ah,
Um, and at the time, I want to say maybe 6 or 7 months in, I met someone who I thought was going to be the woman I was going to marry. And things, we had, we kind of, we worked together. So it was kind of tricky. And along that same time, one of my good friends and another guy, we decided to make basically form uh, a hospitality group to open up our own bars moving forward. Now, I'm still working. We're killing it. It's doing well. We find a space that we're gonna basically do a nightclub,
mhm.
um, a cocktail bar, and then like a small bistro, all in the same building. And I was like, okay, everything started to align. I'm no longer a bartender. I'm a GM, about to be an owner. I
Yeah.
have this I have this girl who I'm madly in love with. I can see a future with her. Everything's like hitting on all cylinders. We found a space that we can go ahead and start making strides to um, taking that next step, that next level up for me. And I'm like, okay, I had to go through what I went through to get here, and as part of the process, I just had to keep trucking along, keep plucking away, and I'm gonna get there. Fast forward, the deal with that place was falling apart I mean, right before my eyes, and there's nothing I can do to save it. Like I'm grabbing at straws, trying to save it. I'm making phone calls, I'm calling people, trying to invest money,
Mhm.
and nothing's working.
Mm.
Um, Things with my girlfriend at the time were starting to kind of teeter a little bit. She was moving out of the city to a city like 2 hours away,
Mhm.
and that was an added stress on me. Things at work were starting to kind of get a little weird as well, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Mm.
Um, I want to say maybe like a year and a half later, things at work had just gotten so bad that I was like, I'm miserable. Like literally, I dreaded going to work. Like the idea, I wake up and I'm like, the countdown begun because I wake up and I'm like, okay, I got to be at work in 6 hours. And I'm like,
Mhm.
and who wants to dread going to your job? Who
Yeah.
wants to have that countdown every day? Um, then after that, and then so during that same time, things were getting really bad with me and my ex. I was driving up to Austin, which is like maybe 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away from Houston. So basically Monday through Wednesday, I would leave work Sunday morning. Yeah, I leave work Sunday morning. I have a backpack, drive all the way to Austin, pass out, wake up the next morning, hang out with her Sunday through Tuesday, Wednesday, drive back to Houston, work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Mm.
and then same thing next week. And I didn't feel like it was working between us. I remember at one point I felt we were starting to get kind of distant, even though when we hung out, it felt good,
Mhm.
yada, yada, but I felt like we were kind of fighting. And I knew that I wasn't communicating the best. I mean, I can look back now and tell you that I didn't communicate the best. Even she made a comment saying, "Yeah, you're a bad communicator." Um, and I'll never forget that I had a feeling that she was going to break up with me. And I was like, and I remember talking to a friend that's like, "Oh, you're in your head. You
Yeah.
guys are fine." And I'll never forget, uh, she broke up with me. Then I was basically uh, getting pushed out of my position at the bar. And then another one of my good friends at the time, him and I had a falling out. So it was like one, two, three things happened. I was like, and then I felt like I had worked so hard to get up here.
Mhm.
Now I've been knocked all the way past where I was, and now I'm going to be back to being that bartender, which I did not want to do anymore.
Right, right.
And that in itself really was humbling because I was like, I worked so hard to get to myself to a certain level, and now it was all for nothing.
Yeah.
And I have nothing. I have literally have nothing to show for it. And I'll never forget. I had a friend of mine. She was a chef, and she asked me one day, say, "Hey, are you okay?"
Mhm.
And I was really good at wearing a mask, so I was always like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good," because I never want to be that sad guy or the angry guy. I wanted to be happy, Landry. And so
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh yeah, 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 I'm good, I'm good, I'm good." But I was not good. I was far from good. And I remember her saying, "You sure?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." And I remember her telling me, "Hey, I want to give you this book to read."
Mhm.
And that book is what was the catalyst of getting me on this journey. The book is called Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Michigan County. And that book really emphasized meditation and routine. And there was a part in that book where he talks about self-worth and some of the traumas from his early childhood, which really resonated with me. He talked about how when he was young, he knew that his parents were poor. And it's crazy how children are so perceptive of what's going on. Like they are so aware of what's going on. Even though they're children, they know. And I knew that we weren't wealthy, but I knew like how can I put this? We weren't poor, but at the same time, I knew we weren't wealthy. And
Mhm.
also, I knew that my mom was a single mom, and I was
Yeah.
like, man, this has to be tough on her. With two kids, it can't
Right.
be easy. And in his book, he talks about how he knew his parents were poor, and his mom took him to the toy store for his birthday. He's like, hey, pick one toy, whatever you want, this
Yeah.
one. Him knowing that his parents were poor, went and found the cheapest thing he could find. And was like,
Aw.
yeah,
Mm.
it was like, here you go. Mom looked at it, like, this?
Mhm.
No, no, you can pick whatever you want. You don't have to pick this, whatever you want. She said, no, no, this is fine. And she was like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, yeah, I'm sure. So she's like, all right, well, pick two more things then. So he said,
Mhm.
pick two more cheap things.
Yeah.
And she was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. This is what I want. And so
Mhm.
she went ahead and bought it. And it took me back to when I was younger, and I might be showing my age here a little bit, but
Mhm.
at the time, Super Nintendo was like the popular game console out
Mhm.
there. And I'll never forget that my mom was like, uh, it was Christmas, and mom was like, hey, uh, for Christmas, what do you want? And I guess all her friends had told her, oh, I guarantee you Super Nintendo is what you want. You know what? Because all the kids want Super
Yeah.
Nintendo. And I wanted to play video games, but at
Mhm.
the same time, I knew that my mom is a single mom and she has all these other responsibilities to take care of, as well as my little sister.
Mhm.
And she has to buy gifts for my little sister as well. So I didn't want to eat up Wade at all that. So I was like, Sega Genesis. And that was like the cheapest of the two game systems at the time.
Mhm.
And she was kind of perplexed. Was like, wait, you don't want Super Nintendo? I was like,
Right.
no. I was like, no, Sega Genesis. 'Cause I knew Sega Genesis was a lot cheaper than Super
Mhm.
Nintendo. She's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. She's like, you sure you don't want Super Nintendo? I was like, no, I want Sega Genesis. I want to be different. I know everybody has Super Nintendo. I want to be different. I want to have Sega Genesis. She's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. I said, yes. And it's because I didn't want to be that burden.
Mm.
And so I was like, no. And I remember reading that book, and that his story resonated with me so hard that I had to put it down because it touched a part of my heart that I hadn't thought about in years.
Mhm.
And so I had to put the book down for a couple of days, and because I was like, you know what, I can't read anymore because I can't go that much more deep because I might start crying.
Yeah.
Um, but after I mean, when I finished the book, I started implementing a lot of his routines, his meditations, a lot of his mindset. I started implementing it, and just like a new toy. The
Mhm.
first few weeks, it's fun, enjoying it, yeah.
Right.
And I want to say 2 3 months, I was like doing it. I was on it, and I'll never forget. One day, I didn't do my routine. I
Mhm.
said, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow turned to all right. I'll do it. I'll do it next week. Next week turns to next month. Next month
Yeah.
turns to 2 months. And before I know it, it's like 3 months in. I'm like, fuck, I got to get back on this. And I'll never forget. And then my friend was like, hey, how are the routines coming along? I was like, about that. So I stopped doing it, but I'm gonna get back into it. It's like, hey,
Mhm.
I want you to talk to a friend of mine.
Mhm.
Just have a conversation. Like, oh, who's this friend? She's like, oh, he's a coach. I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And she's like, hey, just talk to him. I was like, I don't need this. I'm good. I'll get back on it. I promise. She's like, do me a favor. Just have a conversation with them. I was
Mhm.
like, okay. Just to shut her up, I was like, okay. And I had no intentions of reaching out to him, like no intentions. And he reached out to me.
Mm.
I want to say I think I still have his message to me. And he basically, hey man, I've heard a lot about you. I'd love to just sit down and have a chat with you. Let me know when you have some free time. You
Mhm.
know, let's just have a talk. And
Yeah.
I was like, all right, for my friend, I'll talk to this guy. So I
Mhm.
called him up, set up a call, and I remember thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? I know he's gonna try to sell me. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna stay firm.
Right, right.
I had all the objections like ready,
Yeah.
and we talked for about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. And literally, like I dropped down a lot of my walls and a lot of my guard. And
Mm.
I was like, and by the end of it, he didn't have to sell me.
Right.
I was already sold.
Mm.
And he was like, hey man, just to let you know, like everything you're talking about, like I've been there. I completely get it. It resonates with me as well.
Mhm.
I feel like not that I feel like I know I can help you.
Yeah.
Um, and I was he's like, man, and I'd love to work with you.
Mm.
Do you have any questions for me? And honestly, there's only one question that I had. Just
Right.
one. How much?
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, I said, hey man, you know what? If he asked me another question, he was like, man, do you want to can I ask you this is an honest question? Do you want to change? I was like, yeah. He said, man, when do you want that change? I was like, yesterday. So,
Mm.
and he's like, okay, that's good to know. And still didn't want to sell me. And so I was like, well, do you have any questions for me? I was like, yes, I have one
Mhm.
question. He's like, well, what's your question? I was like, all right, man, you know what? How much? I want to make the change. I want to work with you. How much?
Mhm.
And even when I asked him a question, his tactic for that, I was still kind of floored. He was like, you know what, man? I understand that you are ready and I see that you're ready, but I want to make sure you're ready. So
Mm.
how about you let this marinate for a little bit, really think about it because the path that you're going to go down is not going to be easy. If
Mhm.
you're truly ready,
Mm.
we'll talk about this on our next call and then we'll talk about pricing and all that stuff. And I was like, but I want to know now.
Right, right. I just asked you, how much?
Yeah, exactly. He was
Yeah.
like, he's like, I completely get it, man. Let it marinate. Let's sit with it for a little bit. And I sat with it for the next couple of days, and I was like, and literally nothing had changed. Like, if anything, I knew for a fact that I wanted to work with him, and I was like, okay. And after working with him, is when I really started to get the accountability that I needed because that's what was missing from before. When I was doing it on my own, I
Mhm.
had no one to hold me accountable. And with him, we were doing all things that were in that book, but
Mhm.
now I had someone who was holding me accountable.
Right.
Any action steps that I wanted to take, I would take them, and then he would hold me accountable. And
Mhm.
then at the end of the week, he was like, he would give me like little tasks to do as well to
Mhm.
keep me going, keep my momentum up. Um, one that I've actually adopted myself is on a weekly basis, he gave me like this questionnaire where we would basically talk about the things I wanted to achieve this week, which ones fell by the wayside, why they fell by the wayside, and then to celebrate our wins for the week. And doing that helped me to propel myself to the next week and then the
Right.
next week. Because whatever I didn't accomplish this week,
Mhm.
I could put at top priority for the following week. But then I could still not punish myself for those missteps because I still celebrated all these other things. I was
Mhm.
able to sit and be grateful for, okay, well, I didn't get X, Y, and Z done, but I got all this other stuff done. And I feel happy and grateful about that.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Because how many times have we beat ourselves up, right? Like, oh, here's my list of shit to do, and then oh crap, I dropped the ball on two things, right? And I love that he gave you the exercise because I like to look at it as like, hey, okay, you know what? Give yourself like cut yourself some slack. What are you gonna do different about it tomorrow or
Mhm.
the next week, right? So I love the exercise. I'm gonna re-listen to this and write that down myself. Thank you for sharing that.
After you get done, I'll share it with you because there's some other stuff on there too, but I'll share it with you.
Yeah, I love that, and I love that you went into that call too, like, this guy's not gonna get me. And then you're like, how much? How much? It changed your perspective. And thank goodness for your friend, right? If it wasn't for your friend, you probably would have never got on that call.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Number one, I wouldn't have gotten a call. Two, I would never have reached out to him or been introduced to him because I
Mhm.
wasn't even in the so I thought I wasn't even in the market for a life coach. But
Yeah.
to bring up a quote that you just told me that we've both seen independently,
Mhm.
when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And literally,
Yeah.
unbeknownst to me, I was ready,
Yep.
and he showed up.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? How like things just work out sometimes, and we don't even notice it when we're in so deep, in our lives and our situation until we reflect and like, wait, that's why that mentor showed up. Okay, that's why I took that course. When I wouldn't have been interested a year ago, I would have been like, fuck that shit. And all of a sudden, I'm like, how much? Tell me, I'm in. I'm all in. Give me the goods.
No, 100%, 100%. Because I mean, like you said, like if I would have had this met this coach about a year ago when everything was good or when everything was quote unquote good, I would have
Right.
I mean this fucking guy, man. I got this great job. I'm about to open my own bar. I got this amazing girl. Just get the fuck out of here, life coach. My life is good.
Right.
But unbeknownst to me, like literally all that stuff was like the surface. Like I hadn't done like the deep work where I knew that, hey, this is actually not making me happy. It's
Yep.
if anything, it's eating away at me, but I'm just kind of masking it over and over and over. And I'm pushing down this energy that's literally killing me inside.
Yeah. And when would you, because did you end up, you were end up working with that guy, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah. And when you say looking back now that that was like a great decision to change your life.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Because working with him really opened me up to the idea of working with a life coach. Like I want to say, since him, I've worked with probably 3 or 4 life coaches, and I'm actually looking to work with someone else very soon because I heard a coach say something on a podcast, and it made so much sense.
Mhm.
A life coach or coach helps collapse time.
Mhm.
So instead of something taking you 5 or 10 years, that coach can help you achieve that in 1 to 3 years because everything that you're going to go through, they've already gone through.
Mhm.
They can help you avoid a lot of mistakes and help you basically fast track your progress. And I'm like,
Yes.
and it's so true.
Mhm.
It's so true because man, at the time I was when I was doing my routine, I didn't know why I stopped, and it's because I didn't know what my why was, like why I was doing the routine. Like I didn't have anything tangible to show me why it was important to do it. Working
Right.
with him, he opened my eyes to all the benefits to meditate. Now I mean, I tell like all my friends know
Mhm.
Monday through Friday, I'm up at 5 a.m. And the first thing I do once I wake up is I meditate for
Mm.
20 or 30 minutes. I do a guided meditation and I switch it up. But it's for me, like during the week, it's non negotiable. It,
Yeah.
it happens. I mean, even on the weekends, I meditate as well, but it's not at 5 a.m. But Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. first thing, I throw my headphones in and I do 25 minute meditation. And it's just now it's just like so ingrained to me that it just happens every day.
Right. I love that because that's like your commitment to yourself, right? How you're going to show up every day and it doesn't matter what anyone's going to say, Larion's going to do it. I love
Exactly.
that because I do the same, we get up and I love that you even said like a guided meditation because so many times people hear meditation, they're like, I got to sit there with my thoughts and do nothing, and you don't have to start that way. So I now actually don't like guided meditation. Who would have thought? I never would have thought that. I like to sit in silence.
Mhm.
And even the clock ticking, I can't take it. Like, and I never was like that before, but it's all about the baby steps, right? Start off small. I used to meditate for 2 minutes because I couldn't do like 5 minutes. I'm like, I can't, like, I just can't do that. So I set my time for 2 minutes, right? It's all about just starting somewhere. But I love that you've been so freaking consistent.
I mean, consistency is a key, and I love how you talked about how it is baby steps because in the beginning, I've had people say, "Man, how do you meditate for so long?" 'Cause I mean, I've done 20, 25 minute meditations, I've done hour-long meditations, and the thing is, I mean, but it's baby steps. And in the beginning, for me, I couldn't sit with my thoughts, just by myself because so many things would be just running around in my head. So many
Yeah.
things. And I'm like, and then I get to that point where am I meditating? Am I meditating? Am I meditating? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But I forget who said, Joe Dispenza says, if you actually can think to yourself, am I meditating? Am I meditating? You're meditating
Hmm.
because you blocked out all the rest of the noise that's going on
Yep.
in your head. And now you focus on that one thing. Am I meditating?
Yeah.
Yes, because everything else is like now disappeared. Like you're not thinking
Hmm.
about what you have to do today. You're not thinking about Instagram. You're not thinking about
Yep.
emails or text messages. No, you're thinking about, hey, am I meditating? That's it. Everything
Right.
else is like blocked out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like that you brought that in. So if anyone's listening to this, like, am I meditating? Yes, you are. Pat yourself on the back. Yes, you are. Now
Yes,
keep doing it so you're not questioning yourself.
exactly. I actually did a funny reel about this a long time ago where I talked about in the beginning whenever I started meditating, like literally my brain's and then but now it's like
Yeah.
and I can just be alone with myself in silence, and it's amazing.
Yeah. It's just that small thing, being alone and silent, right? Like, why do so many of us struggle with that, right? Because we're trying to chase the next thing. What's on Instagram? Let's scroll next. Or what's the next thing I can buy? Instead of like, hey, let me just be one with me. And how do I feel? Because we're so quick to say, hey, how do you feel? Tell me about your life. But like, no, 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 pump the brakes because you need to work on you before you can help somebody else. But and so I'm gonna share something with me. It's like I've always like dumped it to others, thinking it's gonna fill my cup. And it
Yeah.
never worked.
Yes, I'm the
If
same
you're
way.
laughing, you can relate, I feel.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, I relate so much because I mean, also with that, um, I listened to something the other day where they say that a lot of times when because I've always valued myself, or I've always seen myself as a good listener. Like I can sit there and you can share with me all your inner secrets. I mean, your deepest, darkest secrets, anything that's going on with you, and I can sit there and I can listen and not just be listening, just to be listening, but I can actually listen intently,
Yeah.
and be able to engage and talk about whatever you're going through. Um, but I would always do that without sharing from my own perspective. Like, let's say you're talking to me about something, and you're like, "Well, what's going on with you?" I would always find a way to deflect and go back to you because I want to hear more from you. But I'm almost doing myself a disservice by doing that because I'm not allowing myself to be vulnerable. I'm like basically taking on all your stuff and filling
Mhm.
your cup with, I mean, filling my cup with your stuff, but it's like I'm not really filling it up, because
Right.
I have to be able to, I have to be able to be vulnerable and unload my things as well.
Yeah, and it shows that you're human, right? And you're relatable, like, hey, you're not alone, like, hey, I get it. Like, it may not be the same situation, but we're all humans having this human experience where we all go through some fuck up shit sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
you know and it's okay to talk about it, right? Instead of just putting the best thing on social media, like, let's talk about the shit that sucks. Like, let's talk about how we got through that shit, and let's help other people. If we can be vulnerable, then someone else can be too, instead of like putting on that mask, like, I'm good, I'm cool, how are you, you're good, cool, okay, let's go drink. Like, no, let's dig deeper. But I used to always be that person too, like, I want to talk about the deep shit. Let's go party. Let's go smoke some weed. Let's go drink. And now it's like, oh, you want to talk life? Oh, I'm all in. Like, let
Yes.
me grab some popcorn real quick.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It's funny how things change when we change, right?
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So let me ask you, like, what advice would you give to someone who's struggling right now with their mindset?
I guess the biggest advice is don't be afraid to seek for help, or to seek help. I know a lot of times that we are programmed that being vulnerable or asking others for help makes us less than or not what's what I'm looking for. Basically, you want to ask people for help because others have already experienced what you're going through and you're not alone. So
Yeah.
if you're struggling with mindset, I implore you, I guarantee you that other people who struggle with mindset, I'm not perfect. I Even though I'm a life mindset coach, I struggle with my own mindset sometimes. I go through things just like anyone else. Like
Mhm.
there are times where I still encounter imposter syndrome. There are times where sometimes I don't feel like I'm enough,
Mhm.
but I've garnered the tools to help me get out of that mindset, and I still work with coaches who help me through those tough periods of time.
Yeah, I love that advice because it just shows that even for both coaches, we still need help too. Like, it's easier for us to help someone else because we're not in that situation, right? We need someone to help us with our situations,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. That's why, like, I've one of my mentors said to me, if you meet a life coach and they don't have a coach, you better like think twice and like wait a minute. Who's helping you with your shit if you're helping me with my shit?
100%. 100%. I mean, there's no finish line when it comes to your self growth and personal development. Like you're constantly growing a little bit more, and there's always going to be someone who is a little bit further down the path than you, and you want to get their help because they're going to help you avoid a lot of those pitfalls that they've already experienced.
Yes.
And once you reach another milestone, hey, that's just another sign of, hey, I need that next coach to get me to that next level. That next level. You know, like you constantly want to keep growing as much as possible. There's a phenomenal book out there called The 1% Rule, and it just basically is telling you every day you have the opportunity to be 1% better.
Mhm.
Like, don't feel like you have to be 10% better or 20% better or 100% better. 1%. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um,
Takes off the stress too, and that pressure.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. Jim Quick, a famous motivational speaker and great author, has a quote where it said, "What's the best way to eat an elephant?
Mhm.
Piece by piece."
Oh, I love that. I've never heard that. I like that.
I was like, yes. He was like, I mean,
Yeah.
because it's a fucking elephant. You're not gonna be able to eat that elephant in one bite or two bites or three bites, piece,
Right.
piece by piece. And before you know it, you'll look up and half that elephant's done. You know?
Wow. I love that. Yeah, that's such a good quote. So you've been dropping like books bombs on us, quotes. I love it. Bring it on in. Yeah, because some of the too, I was like, wait, I haven't read that. Nope, I haven't read that. But and also too, like you said, like the personal development journey never ends, right? And the one thing you said too that I really want to bring up, you said like the next mentor, the next level. So you don't have to be to feel like stagnant. If that mentor has done their part, it's okay to let them go. And I'm speaking this from experience and move on to the next mentor, and learn something else because each person brings some different value, something different.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And to piggyback off that comment, one of my coaches that I work with said something to me, and I was like, she's like, sometimes you'll have coaches that will drop little gems on you, and they'll
Mhm.
plant like little seeds. Now,
Yes.
when they plant those seeds, it might not come to fruition right then and there. You keep watering it by doing the action steps, stepping out of your comfort zone, and just continue to progress forward. Somewhere down the road, that
Mhm.
seed is going to start to grow, and before you know it, you'll look up and be like, oh, that's what she was talking about when she said this, or that's what he was talking about when he said this.
Mhm.
And then you're like, oh, she was preparing me for this moment right now,
Yeah.
and now I'm ready.
I love that. I'm gonna remember that because probably gonna have a couple of those moments soon. I feel like it's coming. It's like, I just want to share a little too how we met. We met through a coaching program, and if we both didn't make that choice, we wouldn't even know each other right now.
Oh, I mean, and I'm so happy and grateful that we did. I didn't really gain what I wanted to from that coaching program, but like I said, the way I look at it is I know things that I don't want to do when it comes to my programs and how I coach. And then two, I made so many amazing relationships like with you and then some other members of the program that it was well worth the money that I invested.
I love that. It gives people different perspective. Like even if you didn't gain exactly what you thought you were, you gained something else, something even better. But you
Mhm.
never would have known that if you didn't go through it, right? And lucky for me, I got the pleasure to meet you in person. Got to hang out together and all that. So, like, just telling listeners, you can have that too. You'll find people that are doing similar things to you. Because a lot of times you'll hear like, "Well, my friends don't understand," but you don't have to just see friends as in someone who's right next door. We're miles apart. I'm in Michigan, you're in Texas, but we get along and we still connect. So other people can do the same.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you continue to elevate and this your vibrations elevate, don't be afraid to let go of some of your friends, because
Mhm.
one thing I've noticed is that your friends have a certain vision and perception of you. And as you start to elevate and become this new version of you, it's going to scare them a little bit. And it's no fault of their own. They are comfortable seeing you as this person in this box. you
Yeah.
know so once you become to um I guess evolve, they're like, wait, whoa, 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 what are you doing? Come back down here. I need you back in this box.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I am here now.
Mhm.
You can meet me here, or you can stay down there. And whenever I want to come down there, I will. But this is where I
Yes.
live now. This is where I live. So don't be afraid to like let go of some of those friends. And it's. I mean, you're not a bad person for doing so. I've had to let go of several friends who were just not aligned with me anymore. We're still like friends. Like I still see them from time to time. We will grab a drink or hang out, but it's not to the same caliber as what it was before, where I'm going out and getting hammered with them or chasing women with them anymore, because
Yeah.
that's just not where I'm at anymore. I'm just
Mhm.
not aligned with that anymore. Currently, there's some friends of mine who were kind of like shocked because I told them that, hey, for the next 90 days, I'm gonna go dry. And they're
Mhm.
like, 90 days, no alcohol. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be fine. And I mean, like last year I did it for 30. This year it'll be for 90. And it's more so I'm doing this for me because I want to
Yeah.
continue to better myself,
Mhm.
because no one's gonna make me better except for me. So I have to constantly work on myself. My birthday's coming up next month, and so I might take a small break for my birthday. But after that break, I'm getting right back to it because that is something I want to do for me, and it'll be a huge accomplishment to say that, hey, I went 90 days without alcohol for the 2023.
I love that because I went 90 days last year. I'm not 90, not 30 days. And I didn't even share that with you earlier. And I did it in a part where I was going to weddings and I knew
Mhm.
this, bachelorette parties. And I was like, I want to stop using alcohol as a clutch for me to be in around people as a saving grace for me. I want to learn to be around people, being the true me, being sober. It was hard as shit, I'm not gonna lie. So everybody's like, "Gals DD." I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with that. But I learned a lot doing the 30 days and I saved a lot of money, like a lot of money doing that. So I love that you want to do 90. I was like, ooh, kind of tempted me. Like, well, maybe I want to do 90.
I mean, so so last year I did the 30. I'm not sure. Did you do the 30 because of Rob, or did you just do it on your own?
I just did it on my own, I did it for the month of September. I had a lot of events and I wanted to challenge myself because I'm
Okay.
like, this is going to be a time where a lot of events is happening, a lot of social events, and I wanted to see if I crack or not. And
Mm.
everybody thought I was pregnant. I was like, no, 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 I'm not pregnant. Don't get it twisted. And but I was ordering lemonades and I was like, dang, $3 lemonade. I can do this. This is so cheap.
Man, it's so crazy because whenever I did it because Rob did like something for the beginning of 2022, but he did that on top of cold showers. And
Oh,
so,
yes.
yeah, and so I was like, okay, I did the cold showers with that, and I'm not joking, it was intense.
Yes.
But looking back on it, I'm like, man, that was once I got done, I was like, man, I felt accomplished. And I was like,
Yes.
man, this was awesome, man. Because I mean, you wake up the next morning feeling so good and so fresh.
Mhm.
I mean, I could go to the gym on the weekends. I felt like, man, I can, I'm up at like 7 a.m. I'm ready
Mhm.
to start the day. Let's go. Where
Yeah.
before, if I go out like on a Friday night and I go out to get drunk or whatever, I get home at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
Then I I'd be forced to wake up at like 8:30 to take my dog out,
Yeah.
walk her, and then I literally come back home and pass back out because I'm like, I'm still so tired.
Right.
But now, like, I wake up before her, and I'm taking her at 7. She's like, "What are you doing, Dad? I'm still sleeping. I thought this was the weekend. I thought we are sleeping in." I'm like, "Nope, not today, baby. Let's go."
Right, that's my dog too. Like, "What are you doing? I'm trying to cuddle." And so you're like, no, like, it's a huge difference, and I would recommend anyone, everyone to even if 30 days is too long, try like 2 weeks, or 1 weekend to start, something smaller, where you go out with people and you're all in, sober, and having, like, sober conversations, and you start to see who you really connect with and who you don't. Because when you're all drinking and mingling, you're just talking bullshit. But when you really have solid conversations, it changes a lot. And something I want to bring up too, when you say don't be afraid to let people go, don't be afraid to let people learn the new you.
Mm,
Give them a chance to learn who you evolved to. Because someone made a comment to me in my life, said, I don't know if I like the new you. At one point, I was like, whoa, like what the fuck, right? Guards went way up. And then I took a breath and I said, you know what? This person doesn't know the new me. Have I given this person opportunity to learn the new me? Or am I just quick to jump to the defense? Because that's
mm.
what I'm used to.
Of course.
Because first I was like, you don't know what I've been through. I've been doing all this deep work and you calling me out. And I was like, you know what? Actually, it's not about me. It's about her.
Yes.
And then I was like, ooh, what is she projecting? I was like, oh no, it's not coaching session. Calm down. You know, I mean, but giving them the opportunity, just like you're a new person, you're evolving, and they're used to, and you said it too, Bess, they're used to a certain you. And that was me, partying in festivals. Like I do not regret any of that. I don't recommend doing everything I did personally, but I learned so much from that because like I was always like super tight. Let me be the good girl. And then I went super wild. Now
Mm.
I found a balance, you know?
I mean, it's funny you say that because I agree with you. You do need to give people the opportunity to learn the new you, and you also need to give the people to understand that hey, just because you are evolving doesn't put you in their box.
Yeah.
Like I've had people who come up to me since I've been on my coaching journey who said something like, and it's funny because initially I was on the defense. They're like, "Wait, you're drinking? You're a life coach?" I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
Right.
Life coaches drink?" But then I was like, you know what? What is what is their perception of a life coach?
Mhm.
And so what I had, so I catch myself. I'm like, now I take a breath and like let them know, hey man, I don't know what your perception of a life coach is, but I am my own individual self as far as a life coach. I practice balance. I'm not this woo-woo, super holistic guy. Like, don't get me wrong, I do like to practice some holistic practices, but I'm not all into that. Like I still have a healthy balance where I can go out and have a drink with my friends, or I can go out and do this with my friends, you know, but at the same time, I still have a balance where no, I still don't miss any of my meditations in the morning. You know, I still meditate during the day. Um, I still drink a ton of water. I still work on my body. I still
Mhm.
uh, write down my goals. So it's a healthy balance that you just have to understand. You can't go all in on one side or the other. So it's
Yeah.
either, I mean, you find and everyone's balance is different.
Yep.
So my balance is gonna be different from your balance, from that person's balance, from that person's balance,
Mhm.
and that's okay. Like you have to figure out your balance between your healthy balance of your party lifestyle and then your healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, 100%. Because I had a couple clients who said, "Well, I'm 0 or 100 gal." I was like, "Oh my gosh, I use that fucking term too so many times." Like, oh, it's just an excuse because
Yes.
you don't want to actually set up the boundaries. You don't want to spend the time to find the balance. And a
Mhm.
couple of them resisted, like, "That's not true. I'm either all in party or I'm not." I'm like, "Says who? Says
Ex-
who?"
Exactly.
You're just saying that. And then they're like, "Oh shit." I'm like, I'm not saying you have to find balance, but is it 0 to 100 bullshit working for you? Because if it was, we wouldn't be talking,
100%.
right? So,
A
so what
hundred.
last piece of advice, Landry, would you give to listeners that want help but are scared to ask for help?
One thing I'll say is, what's the worst that could happen?
Mm,
Being scared is completely understandable,
mhm,
but is it worth you going down the path that you're still going, that you've been going down? You know,
mm,
you've gone down this path for I don't know how many years.
right.
Years, not days, not hours, years. Because
Yeah.
if you get to this point now to where you're even thinking about help, you've gone down this path for several years.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to ask for help, because the one day that you decide that you want help is a huge step.
Hmm.
The time that you actually receive that help, when you look back, that'll be your mile marker, letting you know this is when I decided to choose to change my life.
Mm. I
And
love that.
once you make that decision, I mean, everything else is going to be in your rear view, because you start to see the change. And don't be afraid of change. Be
Hmm.
afraid of going down this path that you've already been going down.
Right. And staying the same.
Yeah, exactly. Saying the same.
Yeah. Mic drop. I love that. So tell the listeners how they can find you or follow you to continue getting all your good energy.
Yes, guys. So I have recently taken a small break from social media, but I'm going to be coming back really soon. I'm actually going to have Gal on my podcast as well. But you can find me on all platforms. Your Hype Man Land. That's going to be YOURHYPEMANLAN on Instagram, on TikTok. And my podcast is going to be I'm going to be honest with you.
Mm,
Um, and I'm going to be having several guests on there. I'm super excited. I'm recording a guest tomorrow. The following week, I'm recording with, I didn't want to say, but I'm pretty excited to have her on there as well. She actually reached out to me to be on my podcast. But yeah, I want to take a break from social media just to kind of take a refresh and recharge, because I felt like I was getting in a place where I was just literally on autopilot, putting out content, and I wanted to be a little bit more intentional and heartfelt.
mhm,
I'm going a different direction as far as giving you guys a little bit more of me and my personality and who I am, because I want you guys to really resonate with who I am as a person versus just my message. So I've been working on that, and I have some things in the pipeline that I can't wait to start putting out. But obviously, for the month of January, not only am I going dry from alcohol, but I'm going dry from social media. I'm still, as far as like when you guys reach out and engage with me or message me, I'm still prevalent on there. I'm still responding back to messages. I'm still engaging on Instagram. Like I comment on posts all the time. But as far as like putting out content, I've decided to take a break a little bit and let my social media breathe. But I'll be back very soon.
I love that. A break is good. I took a 2 weeks cleanse that in the last year to come back in the same message to just show the more real me and
Yeah.
to have a better connection. But follow Landrian because he has a ton of content. Okay, even there's not new stuff right now. There's a bunch of good shit there already. So follow him. So don't let him discredit himself. He's an amazing soul. Thank you, Landrian, for joining and coming on the show, dropping all your nuggets and insights and your energy. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, thank you, Gal. You are amazing. I'm like literally so grateful that we met. You guys, please, please, please follow Gal. She is amazing. Um, yeah, I can't even put into words how much I love Gal.
Oh, you're so sweet. Give me the chills. The feeling is so mutual. You know that. I love you. And it's such a blessing to have you in my life.
Oh God, yes, yes, I feel the same way.
Oh, thank you, Landrian.